Good afternoon, colleagues. I bring you greetings from the Electoral Commission of the SRC. Today I am here to declare the results of our just ended SRC and local LNUGS election. Before I do that, I'd like to acknowledge some individuals in some offices which played significant roles in ensuring that this year's elections were fair, transparent, and credible. I'd like to thank members of the Electoral Commission, my first deputy, Honorable Achiman Boame, my second deputy, Mr. Desmond Boachi, Foster Kamasa, who rep, Elom Amehavi, Hohe rep, and Emmanuel Akube, Senano, our secretary, for their efforts, their commitment, and their sacrifices throughout the entire electoral process. We also want to extend a thank you to our Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Judith Anaman Tako, for her relentless effort in ensuring that this very election got the beautiful name it has gotten. Also, a good afternoon and a thank you to our developer, Dr. Ruben Ayivo, for all that he did for us. A thank you to our SRC executives, our able parliamentarians, and our Speaker of Parliament for all their work. I also want to thank our candidates for all they did throughout the electoral processes, for cooperating with us, ensuring that all the processes were adhered to. I would continue to declare the results. However, I'd like to note that even though the elections were scheduled for 21st of this month, October, it had to be cancelled due to issues, the technical challenges we faced on that Saturday. On the 24th, the Tuesday, there was a rerun of the entire elections, and the results are as follows. I'd like to begin with the Hohe Provincial results. So I'll begin with that of the Provincial Women's Commissioner, Ms. Al-Hassan Rafati, who contested unopposed, had 521 valid votes cast, of which she had 503 yes, representing 96.5%, 18 noes, representing 3.5%. I hereby declare Ms. Al-Hassan Rafati as Hohe Provincial Women's Commissioner-elect. Moving on to Provincial Treasurer, we have Mr. Solomon Abomabik and Mr. Zomelu Abraham in that contest. He had 528 valid votes cast. Mr. Solomon Abomabik obtained 358 votes, representing 67.8% of the votes, whilst Mr. Zomelu Abraham obtained 170 votes, representing 32.2%. I hereby declare Mr. Solomon Abomabik as the Hohe Provincial Treasurer-elect. Moving on to local LNUGS President Hohe, contested by Mr. Michael Appiah-Danso and Mr. Frank Ekeli Habada, with a total of 520 valid votes. Mr. Michael Appiah-Danso obtained 308 votes, representing 59.2%, whilst Mr. Frank Ekeli Habada obtained 212 votes, representing 40.8%. I hereby declare Mr. Michael Appiah-Danso as the local LNUGS President for Hohe elect. Moving on to Provincial Presidency, contested by Mr. Prince Emisa Emmanuel and Mr. Ajalo Enoch Kweku. Both had total valid votes of 529. Mr. Prince Emisa Emmanuel obtained 368 votes, representing 69.6%, whilst Mr. Ajalo Enoch Kweku obtained 161 votes, representing 30.4%. I hereby declare Mr. Prince Emisa Emmanuel as the Hohe Provincial President-elect. Now let's move on to whole province. and I'll start with the local NUGS executives. Local NUGS secretary, contested by Miss Brown Brandy Irajwa and Mr. Damanka Ferdinand MD, had total valid votes of 2,379. Miss Brown Brandy Irajwa obtained 1,273 votes, representing 53.5%. Mr. Damanka Ferdinand MD obtained 1,106 votes, representing 46.5%. I hereby declare Miss Brown Brandy Irajwa as whole local NUGS secretary-elect. Moving on, local NUGS treasurer, who contested by Ado Eric Edu and Van Dyke Godlives Ebo, both obtained 2,362 valid votes. Mr. Ado Eric Edu obtained 1,470 votes, representing 62.2%, whilst Mr. Van Dyke Godlives Ebo obtained 892 votes, representing 37.8%. I hereby declare Mr. Ado Eric Edu as the local NUGS treasurer-elect for the whole province. Local NUGS president was contested by Mr. Christian Agbewavi and Mr. Carl Doji Mensah, with a total valid vote of 2,402. Mr. Christian Agbewavi obtained 1,690 votes, representing 70.4%, whilst Mr. Carl Doji Mensah obtained 712 votes, representing 29.6%. I hereby declare Mr. Christian Agbewavi as the local NUGS president-elect for the whole province. Now moving on to whole provincial president, contested by Ms. Sakba Savia Fafali Aku and Mr. Ebenezer Nyako, with a total valid vote of 2,403. Ms. Sakba Savia Fafali Aku obtained 1,429 votes, representing 59.5%, whilst Mr. Ebenezer Nyako obtained 974 votes, representing 40.5%. I hereby declare Ms. Sakba Savia Fafali Aku as the provincial president-elect for the whole province. Now we move on to our federal portfolios. And I'll begin with the Federal Women's Commissioner, who was contested unopposed, Ms. Dinah Amenweve Anku, with a total valid vote of 2,907. She obtained a yes of 2,847, representing 97.9%, and 16 noes, representing 2.1%. I hereby declare Ms. Dinah Amenweve Anku as the Federal Women's Commissioner for the UHAS SRC 2023-2024 general elections. Moving on to Federal Secretary, we have Mr. Fosu Gregory and Ms. Abire Esther Amasima. Total valid votes of 2,909. Mr. Fosu Gregory obtained 1,652, representing 56.8%, whilst Ms. Abire Esther Amasima obtained 1,257, representing 43.2%. I hereby declare Mr. Fosu Gregory as the Federal Secretary-elect for the University of Health and Life Sciences SRC 2023-2024 general elections. Moving on to Federal Treasurer, we had Mr. Enoch Ado and Mr. Suk Epiphanos Dumung, with a total valid vote of 2,901. Mr. Enoch Ado obtained 729, representing 25.1%, whilst Mr. Suk Epiphanos Dumung obtained 2,172 votes, representing 74.9%. I hereby declare Mr. Suk Epiphanos Dumung as the Federal Treasurer-elect. Moving on to our presidential and vice presidential candidates. contested by 4 candidates. We had Mr. Pius Brian Lugudo and Miss Ida Akaditi as contestant number 1. For number 2, we had Mr. Fadil Mohammed and Mr. Gatefe Godwin Mauli. For number 3, we had Johnson Ezel Duku Whitman and Miss Christabel Nanoli Mensa. Number 4, we had Frank Chati Bechuba and Reginald Enam Gibru Atidiga. So I'll mention the results in order of lowest rank. We had Mr. Pius Brian Lugudo and Ida Akaditi obtaining 424, representing 14.4%. Coming third, Mr. Johnson Ezel Duku Whitman and Miss Christabel Nanole Mensa, obtaining 431 votes, representing 14.6%. Coming second, we have Franchati Bechuba and Reginald Enam Gibru Atidiga, obtaining 532 votes, representing 18.0%. Coming first is Mr. Fadil Mohammed and Mr. Gatefe Godwin Mauli, obtaining 1,562 votes, representing 53.0%. Now, the total valid votes cast for the presidential and vice presidential candidates was 2,949. I hereby declare Mr. Fadil Mohammed and Mr. Gatefe Godwin Mauli as the federal president and vice president elect. I thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your cooperation throughout the electoral processes. We would in due time update the entire student populace on the date for the handing over and also processes with regards to choosing a Speaker of Parliament for the next SRC Parliament. Thank you all for your time. God bless you as SRC, and God bless us all. Thank you. Bye-bye.